Why are you never happy with any job? I've got 5 reasons that you need to hear that could solve the reason why you are not happy with any job. And then also at the end, I'm going to tell my story with my job that I have that illustrates all 5 of these to hopefully give you a little insight. So, the first reason that you are not happy with your job is mismatched career values. You may have lack of fulfillment or purpose. You feel like you're not making a difference or an impact, and your personal values may not match the manager's values or the leadership team's values. What do I mean by this? I was just on the phone with one of my clients yesterday talking about how she doesn't want to end up in the same situation where she can't put customers first. Managers and the leadership teams were putting product and dollar signs first, where she, as a lead of a customer service line, wanted to put the customer first. Understand, what does the customer need from us? How can we better serve the customer? So there was a mismatch between her personal values and the values of the company. That can lead you to hate a job. When your values are not matched and they're not in line, you don't feel like you're fulfilling your purpose while you're here on earth, it can cause you to be upset and dislike or hate your job even. And also, really quick with jobs, there isn't one job that is going to make you 100% happy of the time, but there's jobs where you can feel content and satisfied with that you do not dislike or hate going to work. Now, the second reason that you are not happy with your job is the work environment. Now, this kind of ties back to the values piece, but if you have a work environment with poor management, the management uses all punishment and no positive reinforcement. They just punish you for doing something wrong. They never give recognition. They're not good leaders. They don't lead by example. That's going to cause you to dislike your job. If you have a toxic culture with coworkers where it's a cutthroat environment and you aren't a team working together towards a goal together to change the world or fix your problem, whatever it may be, and it's more of a toxic culture, that can cause issues within the work environment and cause you to dislike your job. If you have lack of resources, and what I mean is if you have lack of help, so whether that's you need more people on your team or you need more coworkers to help you, whether that's funding for projects you have where you're just running a cutthroat project where you're expected to get these results, but you only have this amount of funding, that it makes it very hard to attain those results, or you don't have support from upper management or the leadership team on projects or whatever it is, and they have these very high expectations that would require more leadership and more help throughout, but they don't give you the support you need. Or maybe you need potential tools, for whether those are physical tools or softwares, to help you, but they are not willing to provide you that support. That can cause you to dislike your job and hate your job as well. So that's number 2, is work environment. Number 3 is unrealistic job expectations. Again, this ties back to support, the help, but if you have also another piece of this, if you idealize the role in your head, so if you have a vision of what you're going to be doing in this role, what you're going to be making, how you're going to be interacting in your day-to-day, and then reality is a lot different from what you thought, you may need to change your expectations or find something where you're able to do the things that you want to do and you've idealized it as. I even struggled with this a little bit personally as a coach. I thought I'd be much further along, and I'm not, and that's okay. But I had to change my expectations to realize there is more work necessary that I need to put in to make it a reality. So you either have to lower your expectations or make it a reality. I would encourage you to not give up on your dreams and make it a reality and find something where you're able to make the things in your dreams a reality. Now, with that, there are going to be some things that if you've idealized the role as this perfect role, that is not realistic. There are going to be things that you dislike doing about every job you do. There's going to be things you don't want to do that you have to do, and you're going to have to work through those things. Now, another thing that can cause some issues with unrealistic job expectations is comparison with peers. If you know he's making more than you or she's making more than you, whatever, comparing yourself, or you're comparing yourself to their performance or her performance, whatever, that can cause some problems when relating to your job expectations, and happiness related to job when you're constantly comparing yourself to others. I would encourage you to try to flip that and only focus on the work is the goal. In your work only, is that you only focus on the quality and quantity of your work. You don't worry about the outcomes. You only work on the quality and quantity and improving both of those. And that can help. Also, if you deal with perfectionism, that can be a big problem with job expectations. If you have a job where, think of an MLB batter. They bat like a .2 average, maybe a .25 if they're good, and that's a good batting average. So 75% of the time, they miss the ball and strike out, but they're still good. And if you are a .3, you're missing it 70% of the time, but that is amazing average. So with your job, if you're in a role where you can't be perfect. If you're a salesperson, you're not going to close every sale. Things like that. You're not going to do everything perfect. You can make your work as close to perfect as possible. The outcome will never be perfect. So if you're dealing with perfectionism, focus on what you're doing right, not what you're doing wrong. So that's the third, is unrealistic job expectations. Now, the fourth piece of why you may be unhappy with your job is the lack of personal growth and development. And what I mean by this, if there's a stagnation in your career, you've been in the same role for 10 years, you want to move up, but there doesn't seem like there's that many opportunities, that can cause you to be unhappy with your job. Or maybe you're unclear of what's next within your job or your company or your career. Whatever it is, that can cause some struggle and some unhappiness. Also, if you have a skill mismatch, if you're placed within a role where your skills don't match that role, that can cause some unhappiness and questioning of self-worth. You're like, am I really good at this? Is this what I'm meant to do? So making sure that you're matching your skills to your jobs. Like if you throw me in a role with numbers, good luck. I'm not gonna be very good at it because I don't like numbers. I like people. I will do all types of number, cost of acquisition, lifetime growth, profit of a customer, stuff like that, and worry about those things because I'm interested in people, not in numbers. So if you throw me in a people's role, I'm gonna kill it. If you throw me in an analytical financial role, good luck. It's not gonna be good. So being able to match your skills is important for happiness of the job. Also, feedback and recognition. If you're getting a lack of that at your job, that can cause some issues. If you don't know if you're doing good, bad, you can start to question your worth again. Am I doing good? Am I doing bad? What can I improve on? You want that feedback to make yourself continue to grow and continue to climb the ladder. Now, also with recognition, if you kill it on a project, it would be nice to have a little bit of recognition. Again, you're not gonna have recognition for everything you do, and that's okay. But if there's some projects or big things that you just accomplished, it feels good to get that recognition. And if you're not getting that recognition, that can lead to unhappiness within a job. So that's the fourth, is personal growth and development, really the lack of personal growth and development. Now the fifth reason that you are unhappy with your job is external pressures in life changes. If you have financial pressure, if you're not making enough money within your job, it might be time to make a change. If you're constantly bleeding money, even if it's really slow, that can cause a lot of stress and unhappiness with the job. Another thing is life changes. Maybe you're in a season of your life where you just had 2 kids in the last 5 years and you want to pull it back a little bit in your job and focus on them. Great, but you've got to be able to recognize that and pivot within your job or within your business to be able to make that a reality. And then also work-life balance, or maybe a lack of it. Maybe you're completely 100% work, you're doing too much and you don't have enough life balance. This kind of relates to the life changes piece, but being able to understand and have that work-life balance. So what was my story that I was talking about that illustrates all 5 of these? I was working at a retail store. I still work at this retail store. It has gotten better, but I am currently making the transition into coaching full time. But before I was making this transition, I was just at this retail store and I really had a big lack of fulfillment. So mismatched career values. Yes, I got to interact with people, but I didn't get to make a true difference in people's lives. That made me unhappy. Also, the work environment at one point at this store was terrible. The managers did not lead by example. They would expect us to be up here. Maybe that's with not talking to each other and stuff like that, but then they'd be over in a circle laughing. So that caused massive unhappiness. Also, it was only punishment focused. So if you did anything right, it was not acknowledged. It was only focused on punishment when you would do something wrong. So that led to massive unhappiness as well. The third reason was unrealistic job expectations. And it was more the sense of they expected us to do this thing, this max expectations, but that's way above our pay grade. We were just cashiers and cashiers assistants or whatever. And I know this seems like a silly example for retail, but it really does illustrate all 5 of these points. And maybe there was a little bit of, on my piece, of trying to be too perfect, and I would get down on myself when I would do something wrong, but it's completely natural to make mistakes within a role. So that was number 3 of unrealistic job expectations within this retail role. Number 4 was personal growth and development. It was a stagnation. I didn't want to be at this retail role, so I could have moved up, but because I didn't want to be here, I was stagnated. I didn't do anything. I wasn't developing my skills, and there was probably a skill mismatch. I think I'm not that I'm above that type of work, but I can use my skills in better areas, is how I would put it, with personal growth and development, and there was a lack of. And then the 5th piece and the final piece was the external pressures and life changes. It was more just financial pressure. I wasn't making the amount of money that I wanted to make, and I'm still, working towards that. And this is why I'm documenting and making these videos, so I can look back on them and people can see my journey and see how I've worked through this stuff. So there's financial pressures, and then at one point, work-life balance pressures. I was working 40 hours a week, also a full-time student in college, also committed to the gym. So it was busy time. So being able to understand that I needed a little bit more work-life balance from that place led me to be unhappy. So that's my story related to those 5 things, and hopefully that was helpful.